Ajarae. Thank you. Oh, I'm so excited I get to say this. Welcome to Coaches on a Mission. Ah, when we were preparing for this week, it was so much fun to think about who are coaches in my world who I really see embodying their mission. And you, of course, are on that list. So thank you for accepting my invitation. We've known each other for a really long time.
Yeah,
So it's just going to be fun to talk about where you're at in your business right now and about your mission and your values. So I thank you for coming.
it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. So let's get into it, shall
Yeah,
we?
yeah.
So the name of the show is Coaches on a Mission, and I'd love to just start by asking you, what does that word
Mhm.
mission mean to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Mission is something that I talk a lot about in my coaching business. I coach actors, and one of the crucial steps in our success path is that they get really clear on what their mission is. And to me, it means like when we get really quiet and really tune into ourselves, what's our reason for being here on this planet right now? Like, why did we incarnate right now
Mhm.
to be alive? You know, and I do think we have to get quiet and tune in to be connected with that, you know, because there are always so many things coming at us externally, you know, like you need to make this amount of money, you need to do this as a career, you need to marry this kind of person, you need to whatever. And that really has nothing to do with what our missions are, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Mhm. So I have a follow-up question, but first I want to hear about your mission. We talked a little bit before beginning the recording, and I'm of the belief that our mission, we go through seasons,
Mm-hmm.
right? And our mission
Mm-hmm.
will evolve as we're learning and growing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the season you are in right now, what mission are you on?
Mm. Um, yeah, I love that. I love the idea of seasons. And I think that for myself, I have kind of an overarching mission that I could say I've had since I was a kid, even though I wasn't aware of it, right? And that was to increase the level of joy and levity and enlightenment around me. Like that just, you know, as a kid, I love to make people laugh, right?
Mhm.
It influences the kinds of acting projects that I do that I love. I'm an actor as well, right? And it also influences what I do as a coach. Um, but then I agree that we have these um, kind of like sub-level missions. I don't know what you want to call it, the seasonal missions.
Okay, yeah.
And um, for me right now, it's around the importance of family. I'm at an age where I want to start my own family, and I'm very connected with my immediate family, my family of birth, um, and also around creating my chosen family, my close friends. You know, um, I was sharing with you before we started recording, but one of my best friend's fathers passed away, and I was able, really because of what I've set up in my business, to go back to New Jersey for 6 days and help her and her mom clean out her mom's house. Right? And there's a time in my life that I would never have had the space to do that.
Right.
Um, so family is a big one for me right now, and also connecting with intuition. It's something that we talk about a lot in my coaching business and in the membership, but um, that idea of really connecting inward and getting better at listening to the knowledge that I feel is inside me,
Mhm.
really strengthening that ability.
Mhm.
Um, so that's another mission I'm working on right now.
Yeah. Okay. So this over when you look back at your life as a whole, there is this broader theme or broader mission around um, raising the vibe of those around you. And it sounds like in your personal life, you're looking at that really literally, right? And in an intentional way. And what it's done, tell me if this lands for you, but is made what used to not even appear as an option, an obvious choice when you went back to New Jersey for 6 days,
Yeah.
right? Where that was
Mhm.
always a choice. You could have always done that,
Right.
right? But because you're in this season and probably listening to your inner guidance, it became not only an option, but the obvious option.
The obvious option. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Can we go back to what you said about getting quiet in order to answer within yourself the question, what am I here for? Um, this is giving me flashbacks. I grew up in a really religious house, and I remember being in church and having the grown-ups ask this question and just thinking, what? What do you mean? I just like couldn't even get my head wrapped around it, and now here we are.
Right.
But I'd love to know if you have a story you can share around your experience of getting quiet and listening to yourself and what that revealed or what that led you to.
Yeah. I it's funny because I feel like up until I was in my late 20s, I was following a path that was kind of the prescribed path of
Mhm.
someone growing up in my family. Education was very important to us. My grandfather was a teacher. Everyone went, my mother's entire generation went to college, which is not, that common, especially in African American families. And it was kind of like go to school, get really good grades, go to a really good college, and then figure out a career that makes sense. And so I went to school, I got all A's, I went to Harvard, I graduated and did Teach for America to give back and to serve. And after that, I was kind of like, well, I actually had no clue what I wanted to do because I didn't
Right.
really consider acting an option. It was
Well,
like
yeah,
something
that
I
doesn't
did
make
for
sense.
fun,
That
but
does not line
that is
up with
not a logical career
right.
pursuit, right?
Yeah.
And so after Teach for America, I actually didn't do that. I did the next logical thing, which was to take a job at it was kind of a management consulting thing because I
Mhm.
wanted to do school district management. And so I wanted to learn how to manage outside of a school district, which weren't being managed very well. So I did this. And during that time, I started taking acting classes just for fun.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was after a class one day. My teacher, her name is Wendy Phillips. Wendy asked me, have you ever considered doing this for a living? I mean, you're really good. And I was like, no, like this is a fun class that I'm taking at UCLA Extension, right? And that was my answer to her. But after that class, I think I was driving home because I lived in Long Beach at the time. I was driving back down the 405 and thinking, like, am I going to regret not doing this in 3 decades if I don't do this? Because I really felt like this was completely lighting me up with that mission that I was aware of, which is like
Right.
raising the vibe, right? That
Mhm.
I knew I wanted to do. I could do that in the classroom though. I did that in the classroom. I did
Mhm.
it with the people who I managed at work. But like in this way, it's like, wow, I could be seen by millions of people on a television show. And, like this really feels in alignment. Huh. Um, but still, it didn't, it was just like, that's interesting. And then I developed a meditation practice. I think we share a practice,
Mhm.
Vedic meditation, transcendental
Yeah.
meditation with a bija mantra, 20 minutes twice a day. And I feel like over the course of maybe the first year and a half of having a regular meditation practice, it really became clear to me
Mm.
that this was what I needed to do. So it wasn't like a quick, 30-minute go inward time. It was a long-term process of
Yeah.
really like getting in the habit of being with myself
Mhm.
and figuring out what I wanted.
Right. So that voice could grow loud enough,
Exactly.
right, to stand out
Yeah,
from all of the external noise,
that's
right?
right. Yeah.
All right, so this begs the question, what about your decision to start your coaching business?
Yes. Yes. Well, as ever the practical person, right?
Yeah.
I knew that I wouldn't be making money as an actor right away or enough money to support myself. And I was actually on a coaching call with you. You were my coach when I was an actor. And you mentioned something that gave me an idea for a business. And I just thought, well, this is interesting. First of all, I know nothing about creating a business, but I do know I am learning a lot about being an actor, and I believe I can serve in this way. And wouldn't it be great if I had a completely flexible schedule and did something that I really enjoyed, and kind of never had to, work a late shift and wait tables or do things that I don't really want to do, right? And so that was the original impetus for starting this coaching business. And it's funny because it has evolved
Right.
over 9 years to the point finally where I feel like I have reconnected with what my mission is in the services that I offer in my business. At first, it was just about like, let's have a side gig to make some money that is enjoyable to me. And now it's so connected to what my mission is.
Right. And it has such a ripple effect because there's a part of you that is and always will be an actor.
Yes.
To raise the vibe. And now you're helping other actors do the same thing. Right.
Totally. And
So
actors,
beautiful.
are the most empathetic. Like,
Oh,
we have
you're
to be
so
empathetic,
vibey.
right?
Yeah.
We're so vibey. And,
Mm,
it's such a joy to be able to empower those people to
yeah.
really lead, because
Yeah.
while we are sensitive and empathetic and all the things that we need in this world right now, we are also prone to being taken advantage of or to being told that we're not as necessary or important in this creative process because there are so many of us and so many people want to do what we do and all that stuff. And so it's such an honor to be able to support actors to really like make things happen in their careers and feel really really fulfilled in their careers.
Yeah. So I noticed something and I wonder what your thoughts are. So you're taking acting classes for fun, and then someone asked a question that opened up like a possibility, and it was like a door open for you to then go inward. And then I remember, I had forgotten, but I remember that call that you were on with me. And I think it was like a group Q&A.
It was.
And someone said something, and then I said, it would be great. Well, I wish someone would do this. And you thought, I'm going to do that. And then you went and did it, right?
And I thought everyone else on the call would do it.
Yeah, and there was like 100 people there and no one else. Yeah.
I was like, dude, I better do this now because
Right. Right. And it's interesting. So there's something there around, tell me if this feels true at all, but part of listening to self is looking for clues that we outside of ourselves that we might otherwise miss if we don't have that intuitive connection or that intentionality about being mission driven.
Yes. Yes. One of our guest speakers in my membership actually this month is an intuitive, and we asked her, she basically taught a lesson about how to connect with your inner guides, right? Whether that's an angel or a past family member or what, we get real woo-woo in my membership, right?
Great.
And I really believe that all of these little signs and little inquiries and all of these things are there to help us, right? It's no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. I think synchronicities are beautiful, but there's a reason that I was on that call and that I heard you coaching that actor who needed the service that I could provide, right? And you're right. It's like being kind of open enough to hear it and to hear it in a specific way and to then take inspired action is the key.
Yeah. And I think acting quickly on it.
Right.
I think it's big magic. right?
Mm.
The book Big Magic, where she talks about ideas don't have owners, right?
Yes.
And the metaphor is like
Yeah.
ideas are literally jumping around in the air, and they're going to land in your brain for a minute.
Yes.
And if you don't do something to bring that idea to life, it's going to go and find a new home.
Yes.
And I love that, like that playful idea, that playful encouragement to act on the intuition and act on the nudges.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we talk about your values before I let you go?
I would love to.
So we're having this conversation about mission, and I really see you as so purpose driven, and it's been fun to watch you turn a job, like a really, to be resourceful enough to set up a business that could pay your bills, right? And let it live in that container, right? Where I'm an artist, I'm an actor, so now I have a way that I make my money as I'm building this other thing, but you followed the evolution of that business, right? Where now it's as purposeful and mission driven as your work as an artist.
Right.
So I'd love to just hear you talk about the value or the values that drive you and how that shows up in the way you run your coaching practice.
Yeah, sure. So one of them that I feel like is more obvious is connection. I think that, you know, being an entrepreneur and being an actor can be very isolating pursuits. And so my coaching business, the central piece of it is a membership where it's such a tight virtual community where we just support each other and celebrate each other's wins. One of our values is community over competition. You know, I think a lot of actors can feel like, oh gosh, especially if there's an actor who looks like me, they're competing with me, they don't want me to do well, they're my enemy. And, you know, that's not the case. There's no scarcity here. And so connection is a big one.
Yeah.
Another one, and I got so clear on this during our last retreat in the Hive, is beauty, actually.
Duh, is right. I know this is a
funny is that
podcast,
that
but
this is
you,
like
you
the
should all
last
see her
one?
setup here. It's like totally beautiful.
That comes across in our materials for you know, for our members and how our platform looks. And I just want people to feel like they have access to like the highest tier, like luxury experience as an actor, you know. I think a lot of times we're used to going into shabby theaters and like, you know, taking acting classes and whatever, and it just that's not the vibe at the table. And then another huge one for me is freedom. The final stage in our success path is freedom, and it's really about like actors having financial freedom, right? Creating their own income sources and generating residual income so they're not feeling so pressured all the time to go out and like hustle. It's about creative freedom, right? Having the freedom to choose the projects that you work on based on your mission and your values. So freedom is a huge one. And I think freedom is really why I started the business in the first place, right? I wanted the freedom to pursue my acting career without being stressed about money.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, especially beauty. So I know do you ever have moments where you wonder if your values are the right values? I'm using air quotes for all of our listeners. Like, do you ever rub up against the idea that beauty is a shallow value?
Yes. And I think that's why I just centered on this one recently. You know, I think that's why I was like, oh, well, you know, whatever. I think I've always criticized myself internally for being vain. Right?
Making it mean that you're vain because you value beauty.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And it's funny, I've kind of had to look at other people to realize that it's okay to value beauty. I mean, you're one of them. You're always, when I look at everything you put out into the world, it's beautiful. My mom is another. She really is such a beautiful person and, you know, really exudes that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been nice to come to that and
A
accept it.
journey.
Yeah.
Totally. What I learn about values is because we're all coaches here, right? So we've all seen at least those value assessments where you're picking from a list of 40 words and narrowing it down. And I think it's really easy to listen. This is coming full circle, right? To listen outside of us about what our values should be instead of inside of us. And if
Mhm.
I'm not honest about what really matters, not because it looks good on paper, but because it's actually how I live my life, then I can't honor any other value, right? So by really embracing your love of beauty, it gives you permission to care more about the environment and to
So
and
true.
integrity and all these other pieces.
Yes,
So cutting ourselves some slack and accepting our natural strengths and our natural values allows us to actually be and do more.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can be shallow together, Ajarae.
Let's do it.
Oh, I love hearing you talk about mission and meaning. And I think that my big takeaway from this conversation is a reminder that that my inner wisdom is talking to me all the time,
Mm, yeah.
right? And just a reminder to also check in with that as I make decisions moving forward. So thank you for bringing that forward today.
My pleasure, Dallas. I was about to call you Alex. What the heck?
I've been called worse. It's fine.
Yes.
Great. Good. Well, thank you for coming on the show, and thank you to everyone listening. I think the invitation here, maybe in the next 24 hours, is set the intention, right? To look for a clue and then go inward to see how you can act on that clue you've received.
I
Good.
love that.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Ajarae. We'll see everybody back here tomorrow.
Bye-bye.